Let me tell you about two people. Same city, same background, same starting point in life. One of them looks at an opportunity and says, I need to try this. And they do. The other one looks at the exact same opportunity and says, I don't dare. And they don't. 10 years later, they are living completely different lives. Not because one was smarter, not because one was luckier, but because one chose to move and one chose to stay still.
Here's something nobody tells you when you were learning English. The words you use every day, they shape the decisions you make. I need to creates urgency, creates action. I ought to creates conscience, creates responsibility. I dare creates courage, creates everything else.
Today's episode is not just a grammar lesson, it is a mirror. And when you look into it, you might just see someone braver than you thought you were.
Let's go. Welcome back to Musk Unleashed, the English podcast that teaches you real English for real life. Every episode, every word, every lesson. Built for you.
I'm Emma.
And I'm Ethan. And guys, this is part 4 of our modal verb series. We have done can, could, may, might, shall, will, would, should, must, and today, the final 3.
Ought to, need, and dare.
Now, these 3 are called semi-modal verbs, which sounds complicated, but don't worry. We are going to make them so simple, so natural, and so memorable that you will never forget them.
And here's the beautiful thing about today's words. They're not just grammar. Their personality. Ought to is your moral compass. Need is your drive. And dare is your courage.
By the end of this episode, all 3 are yours. Stay with us. All right, ought to. And let me start with the most common question people ask about this word.
Is it the same as should?
Exactly. And the honest answer is almost, but not completely. And that difference matters.
Think of it this way. Should is your friend giving you advice. Ought to is your conscience giving you a reminder. It carries a slightly stronger moral feeling, a sense of duty, of what is right.
You should call your mother. Friendly advice. You ought to call your mother. You know it is the right thing to do. Your conscience is speaking.
Subtle difference, but native speakers feel it.
Use number 1, moral obligation and duty. This is the core of ought to. When something is the right thing to do, not because someone told you, but because deep inside, you know it.
We ought to help people who have less than us. You ought to apologize. You know you were wrong. Leaders ought to listen more than they speak.
These sentences don't feel like rules from outside. They feel like values from inside. That's the power of ought to.
Use number 2, advice and recommendations. Very similar to should, giving someone a suggestion based on what you think is best for them.
You ought to see a doctor about that. It doesn't sound good. You ought to apply for that position. You're more than qualified. You ought to get some rest. You've been going non-stop.
And here's an important real-life note. Ought to is slightly more formal than should. In casual, everyday conversation, especially in American English, people almost always use should instead.
So, between close friends, should sounds natural. Ought to sounds a little formal.
But in writing, in formal emails, in formal advice, in moral statements, ought to is perfectly natural and actually sounds more considered, more thoughtful.
Use number 3, expectation. When something is logically expected to happen. The results ought to be ready by Friday. Based on the timeline, this is what should happen. This approach ought to work. We have used it successfully before. It ought to be a great event. The team has put so much into it.
This ought to shows confidence based on reason. You're not just hoping, you have a logical basis for your expectation.
Now, ought to have, the past form, and this one carries real emotional weight.
Ought to have plus past participle. Something did not happen, but it should have. There is regret. There is a lesson. Very similar to should have, but with that extra moral feeling.
You ought to have told me I could have helped. She ought to have been given that opportunity. She deserved it. We ought to have started earlier. Now we're running out of time.
And in spoken English, ought to have often becomes ought to have. It contracts naturally in fast speech.
Quick grammar note. This is important. Ought to always keeps the to. That's what makes it different from other modals. You do not say, you ought apologize. Wrong. You always say, you ought to apologize. The to stays always.
And for negatives, ought not to, or the contracted form, oughtn't to. But honestly, in everyday modern English, most people just say shouldn't instead. Much more natural in conversation.
Let's do a quick role play for ought to. Two colleagues. One is avoiding a difficult conversation with their manager.
I'll be the colleague giving advice. You're the one avoiding the situation.
I don't want to bring it up. It might make things awkward.
Ethan, you ought to talk to her. Honestly, this has been going on for weeks and it's affecting your work.
I know I ought to. I just keep putting it off.
You ought to have done it last week when you first noticed the problem, but you can still fix it now. The longer you wait, the harder it gets.
See that? You ought to talk to her. Moral advice. You ought to have done it last week. Past regret with a lesson. Both natural, both powerful.
And notice nobody in that conversation was being mean. Ought to is caring advice. It comes from a place of wanting what is best for someone. Need. And I want to start with something that's going to surprise you.
Go for it.
So need is actually two different words in English. Same spelling, same pronunciation, but two completely different grammatical personalities.
Wait, explain that.
So need can be a regular verb, a normal verb like want or like, and need can also be a semi-modal verb like should or must, and they work differently.
And understanding the difference is what takes you from intermediate to advanced.
Let's start with need as a regular verb, because this is the one you'll use most in everyday conversation. As a regular verb, need follows normal verb rules. It takes do, does, did for questions and negatives.
I need to talk to you. Regular verb. To follows it. She needs to finish the report. Third person, needs, with an S. Do you need any help? Question with do. I don't need any help, thank you. Negative with don't.
This is the everyday version, the one you hear in shops, offices, conversations, everywhere.
And need as a regular verb also means to require something, not just an action, but a thing. This project needs more time. She needs a break. She's been working for hours. Every great dream needs great courage. That last one, that is the motivational one. Every great dream needs great courage. Write that down.
Now, need as a semi-modal, this is more formal, more British, more common in writing, and it mainly appears in negatives and questions.
You needn't worry about it. Everything is taken care of. Semi-modal. No do, no to after need. Need I say more? Semi-modal question. Very formal, very elegant. You needn't come if you're busy. No obligation. You are free.
Needn't is the contracted form of need not, and it is still used, especially in British English, to politely tell someone that something is not necessary.
It is like a soft, kind removal of pressure. You needn't worry feels warmer than you don't need to worry. Slightly more reassuring somehow.
Now, here is a distinction that trips up even advanced learners, and this is gold.
I didn't need to cook dinner, so I didn't. Versus, I needn't have cooked dinner, but I did anyway.
Feel the difference? Didn't need to, it wasn't necessary, and I didn't do it. Simple. Needn't have, it wasn't necessary, but I did it anyway. Slight regret, wasted effort.
You didn't need to buy me a gift. You were not expected to. You needn't have bought me a gift. You bought one anyway. I'm touched, but surprised.
Same words, completely different story. That is why English is so rich.
Now, the motivational layer of need, because this word is not just grammar. It is drive. It is hunger.
Think about the most powerful need sentences in real life. I need to be better than I was yesterday. You need to hear this. You are more capable than you know. Great things need great effort. There is no shortcut.
You don't need anyone's permission to start. You just need to begin. You just need to begin. That is a complete life philosophy in 5 words.
It really is.
Quick role play for need. A mentor and a student. Someone who is ready to give up on learning English.
I'm the mentor. You're the student who's losing confidence.
Emma, I don't think I'm getting better. I've been trying for months. Maybe I just don't have what it takes.
You needn't feel that way. Progress in language is not always visible, but it is always happening.
But I need to see results. I need to feel like it's working.
I understand, and that feeling is real. But here's what you need to know. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. You don't need to sound like a native speaker tomorrow. You need to sound like a better version of yourself today.
Okay, that was good.
You didn't need to say that, but thank you.
Okay, we're over halfway through. Quick check-in. Are you still with us?
Because the next word, dare, this is the one I've been most excited about this entire episode.
Same, because dare is not just grammar. Dare is a life decision.
And before we get into it, comment below right now, just one word. Are you someone who dares or someone who holds back?
No judgment, just honesty, because by the end of this segment, that answer might change.
Dare. And I want to open with something that Robert F. Kennedy once said. Only those who dare to fail greatly can ever achieve greatly.
Read that again slowly.
Only those who dare to fail greatly can ever achieve greatly.
The word dare is right at the center of that sentence, and it's right at the center of every great life story ever told.
So grammatically, dare, like need, is a semi-modal. It can work as a regular verb and as a semi-modal verb.
And dare has two core meanings. First, to be brave enough to do something. Second, to challenge someone to do something.
Let's start with dare as a regular verb, the most common form in modern, everyday English. She didn't dare to speak in front of the whole class. She was too afraid.
I don't dare to ask him. He seems so intimidating. He finally dared to share his idea, and it changed everything.
As a regular verb, it takes do, does, did for questions and negatives, and it's often followed by to plus infinitive. Do you dare to try? She dared to be different. They dared to dream bigger than anyone said was possible.
Now, dare as a semi-modal. This form appears mainly in negative sentences and questions. No do, no to before the next verb. I dare not tell him. I'm too afraid to tell him. She dare not look him in the eye. She hasn't got the courage. Dare you speak up in that meeting? Are you brave enough?
And in British English, the contracted form, daren't, dare not, is still used. He daren't contradict the boss. I daren't say what I really think.
Now the second meaning, daring someone else, challenging them to do something. I dare you to try. A challenge, an invitation to be brave. They dared him to speak first. They challenged him. Don't you dare say that again. Warning, strong prohibition, protective.
Don't you dare. This phrase, oh, this phrase, it's one of the most emotionally loaded expressions in English.
It can be a warning, don't you dare touch that. It can be protective, don't you dare let anyone make you feel small. It can even be playful. Don't you dare eat the last piece of cake, Ethan.
Always with the food examples.
I have priorities.
Okay, now the motivational heart of dare. And this is where I want to slow down because this matters.
Helen Keller, who was blind and deaf from the age of 19 months, said, "Life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all."
A daring adventure or nothing at all. She did not say life is easy. She did not say life is safe. She said it's a daring adventure.
And think about the English learners watching this right now. Every time you open your mouth and speak in English, especially when you're not sure, that's an act of daring.
Every time you choose to try instead of staying silent, that's daring.
Every time you make a mistake in front of someone and you keep going anyway, that's daring.
Theodore Roosevelt said, "Far better it is to dare mighty things, to win glorious triumphs, even though checkered by failure, than to take rank with those poor spirits who neither enjoy much nor suffer much, because they live in that gray twilight that knows neither victory nor defeat."
The gray twilight, that's the place where people stay safe, where they never try, where they never fail, but they never truly live either.
Dare is the word that gets you out of the gray twilight.
And in English, this word is alive everywhere. In sports, he dared to take the shot no one else would. In business, she dared to start the company when everyone said it was impossible. In love, he finally dared to say how he felt.
In language learning, she dared to speak English even when it was imperfect, and that's exactly why she became fluent.
That one is for every person watching right now.
Okay, role play for dare, and I want to make this one count. This is a moment between two friends. One of them has a dream they've been too afraid to pursue.
I've been sitting on a business idea for 2 years. You're the friend who finally pushes me.
Ethan, tell me the truth. That business idea you mentioned 2 years ago, do you still think about it?
Every single day. But I don't know. I daren't even say it out loud. What if it fails?
What if it doesn't? Ethan, you ought to at least try. You need to stop letting fear make your decisions.
I know I ought to. I know I need to move. I don't dare.
Listen to me. Don't you dare let that idea die inside you. The world needs what you have. You need to dare, even if your voice shakes, even if your hands shake, even if everything shakes. You dare anyway.
Okay, I dare.
And that, right there, was ought to, need, and dare. All three. One conversation, one moment, one decision.
That's how these words live in real life. Not in textbooks, in moments, in conversations, in decisions that change everything. All right, let's bring it home. The complete picture.
Ought to, your moral compass. The voice of duty, of conscience, of what's right. You ought to try. We ought to be kinder. You ought to have believed in yourself sooner.
Need, your drive, your hunger, the voice of urgency and necessity. You need to begin. You needn't be perfect. You just need to be consistent. Every great dream needs great courage.
Dare, your courage, your leap, the voice that says, jump anyway. Dare to try. Don't you dare give up. She dared to be different, and the world noticed.
3 words, 3 voices inside you. Conscience, drive, courage.
And here's your final challenge, and this one is personal. We want you to write 3 sentences in the comments. Sentences about your life, your dreams, your moment.
Sentence 1. I ought to. Something your conscience has been telling you. Something you know is right.
Sentence 2. I need to. Something urgent. Something you've been waiting to do.
Sentence 3. I dare to. Your commitment, your leap, your moment.
Write them, mean them, and then go do them.
Because here's the truth about learning English and about life. You can study grammar forever. You can memorize every rule. But at some point, you need to open your mouth. You need to dare to speak. You need to trust yourself enough to try.
And every single time you do, you get better. Not because you were perfect, but because you dared.
Share this episode with someone who needs to hear it today. Someone who has been silent too long. Someone whose voice the world is waiting for.
Subscribe to Musk Unleashed if you haven't already. New episodes every week. Every word, every lesson, built for you.
I'm Ethan.
I'm Emma.
And this is Musk Unleashed. See you in the next one.